Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast, the audio version of our Facebook Live series, Art Talk Tuesday. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and I am so excited that you're here to catch the weekly replay of my laid-back yet very inspiring conversations with other full-time professional artists. The purpose of this series is to show aspiring artists like you that it is completely possible to make a great career out of this art thing. And if you ever want to join us live and have your questions answered in real time by myself or featured guests, then just hop over to facebook.com/groups/Artist Academy every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll see you there. This episode is sponsored by the Artist Academy Advanced Membership, a program for artists who want to up-level their art game by taking it from a hobby or a side hustle to a full-time art business. I've been a professional artist for over 5 years with paintings in several different countries and a client list that includes high-profile companies such as Bass Pro, O'Reilly's, Duck Commander, and many, many more. So I figured out what it takes to build an art business, and now my heart is set on teaching aspiring artists like you to do the same. Go to advancedmember.com, that's advancedmember.com to learn more. This week's episode features Arkansas-based artist Tram Colwin. If you take a look at Tram's Instagram, it's pretty obvious why anyone would be drawn to her style. Specifically speaking, her 100 butterflies she recently completed in the first 100 days of this year. We did a similar 100-day challenge in the Artist Academy with the purpose of making yourself sit down and just create every single day. As we talk about this subject, Tram beautifully justifies the importance of setting goals, staying organized, and how that greatly affects your overall art business. I was so impressed with her organizational skills and the ability to stick to the promises that she makes to herself. Painting every single day for 100 days is no small task. I would know, but I really believe that the ability to do so really transfers into everything else you do. And Tram is a brilliant example of that. Let me know what you think about this week's episode with Tram Colwin. So basically, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then just so people can, if they don't already follow you on Instagram, they could just get to know you a little bit, and then kind of transition into what was the tipping point that took you from hobby to professional artist?
Yeah. Like Andrea said, I am from Fayetteville, Arkansas, and I'm known for my watercolor artwork, but I love all sorts of different art forms. I do acrylics. I provide stationery goods as well as home goods among the products that I offer on my website. So a lot of my art is inspired by nature because that's the thing that, makes me feel like I'm coming alive. So that's a lot of what I do as far as the art side of it. But I also am going into the field of doing workshops. So about a year ago, 4 other friends and we got together and created this event called the Creative Social Retreat. It's where we invite people to come to a weekend and we do workshops. So we offer 5 different workshops for people, and then we also do a business opt-in, so that for anyone who is a creative and is interested in going into the business field of art, we also give advice, answer questions and stuff. So I'm just really passionate about not only doing my art, but also helping other people to explore their creative side. And for those who are artists and want to do art, I love sharing my experience and whatever advice I can to help them, because I've been through the journey and just know how important it is to have help and encouragement in it. So that's why I love sharing. But as far as what was the tipping point for me, about 2.5 years ago, I was a manager at a painting studio. As much as I really, really loved it, I was a part of the art community, but I felt like it wasn't my career, and I knew I wanted to have a career. I just didn't want to just have just a part of my life in art, as far as just managing an art studio, because not only do I want to create art, I want to be able to share my art with people, and that wasn't an avenue that I could at the current state that I was at. And I just also felt like an overwhelmingness of like emptiness inside me, as far as feeling like this is not where I'm meant to be. Like I'm meant to have more than just being a studio manager. Not that it's not a rewarding job in and of itself. It was just not where I felt I was called to. And so I like at this point, so I slowly got into it, as far as, it was my like side hustle for about a year or so. And just to kind of started going, I, opened up my Etsy shop and started, creating artwork, selling art prints and stationery goods on there. But it was last year that I went full time with it. It was like a huge leap of faith. And it was just one of those moments where I'm like, okay, if I'm not going to do it now, then I'm going to drag my feet forever and not do it. So I just kind of like jumped in like with like just both feet. Like if you were to ask me, did you have a business plan? No, I didn't have a business plan. It was just like at the right moment, at the right time. And I just needed to do it. I mean, after I got into it, I'm like, whoa, I didn't think about all of these things, but I'm learning as I go. And so this is my second year doing art as a business full time. And it's been great, and lots of ups and downs, but so far it's been such a rewarding opportunity to just really do what I love.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Yes, that's so cool. So, so you did so I just want to, I just personally, this is a question that I want to know.
Yeah.
You did was it 100 days of butterflies, or
Yes.
was that,
Yeah.
okay. So you did,
So
go for it.
yeah. So the 100 Day Project. It's a national like project that you can be a part of. Like the actual date of it starts in April, but I knew that I wanted to do a 100 Day Project, but I wanted to do it at the very beginning of the year. So my first day of the 100 Day Project was the first day of the year. My main goal to doing it was to like allow myself to sit down and paint every day, because the hard like thing that when you learn about doing a business, being an artist and doing a business at the same time, is sometimes you get so caught up on the business end of it, because you're updating your website or you're trying to produce content and all of these things, that I find myself going for like weeks sometimes, or even days without picking up a paintbrush. And so like going into it, I wanted to like give myself time to actually sit down and paint daily, just for myself and for the fact that I wanted to improve my skills as I go, and see what I can do with it. And I picked butterflies as the main topic just because I wanted a focal point in my project. And for me, like butterflies have such great meaning, like in a lot of different culture to a lot of different people. It represents change and life and so many different kind of transition. And I just felt like, it touched me as far as what it meant to me. And like, I hoped that people would respond to that. And throughout my project, I had so many great people responding to it, because I think they also share some kind of level of like, a meaning with butterflies to them. And it's really fun each day to like have people comment and say like, oh my gosh, like I look forward to your butterfly each day. Or like, I always get really excited whenever I see your weekly wrap up. It just makes my day or makes my week or something like that. And it's really encouraging to do it. So that was my 100 Day Project this year.
That is so cool. I totally get that. We did, so when I started I started the Artist Academy and early this year, and I was like, let's do a 30-day challenge. And we did 30 days of January, or 31 days. And then we jumped right into a 100-day challenge. And just for the reasons, exact reasons you were saying, it's just because it makes you sit down and do it. How long did each butterfly take you usually?
Well, my goal at the very beginning was like 30 minutes is what I told myself. But if you ever if you ever get a chance to actually look at my art, I love details. I'm obsessed with details because that's where I think there it just clicks with me, because I find beauty in the things that might not be like you can't see it right away. You have to look really hard. So for me, because I add so much detail in my work, most of the time the butterflies took me at least an hour. Some days it takes me to about 2 hours. But I didn't felt like, oh my gosh, I didn't, I wasn't able to fit it within the time that I wanted to. Like it just kind of made it flow. And I knew that it was for my benefit as far as being able to, refine my skill as an artist to continue in that. So I never was grudgingly like, oh my gosh, this is taking me 2 hours.
Yes, that's about a decent amount of time, I think, because when we did our 30-day challenge, it was complete a painting every day for 30 days, and normally spent almost 2 hours every time. If it went
Yeah.
over 2 hours, I was like, I don't like this. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So I was actually going to talk to you because I saw that and I was like, that would be perfect for my next 30-day challenge that we do in January. I was like, I wonder if she would mind if I copied that idea.
No, go ahead. It's great because I've been getting comments from people like, oh, like you've inspired me to start painting butterflies, or I'm gonna do a butterfly project for 30 days now, and it just I love it. It makes me excited that what I'm doing is encouraging other artists to create something else or similar to mine.
Good. That is such a good mindset too. I love when people have that because it really is just abundance over scarcity mindset. Because a lot of people are like, "This is my idea," no, and then but I feel like a lot of us are just like, "Yeah, more the merrier." Like
Yeah.
we can't fill every art or every
Mhm.
house full of art. It's just like we all kind of have to work together in that. Okay, how do you get your frames? Where do you get your frames at?
I actually Frame USA is
Oh, I
the
know that.
yeah. So they were really great as far as working with me, and if I there was a few frames that I'm so picky that didn't meet my requirement, and they were so gracious to replace them free of charge and shipped it for free and everything. But I highly recommend them. They actually are having a sale this weekend, so you should check them out if
I
you
might
want
do
to.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like a 35% off or something like that on some select frames. So, anyways, that's totally off topic, but yeah. But so I ordered the frames because for my project, I actually a month into it, a friend of mine suggested for me doing a gallery show out of it. And so I kept all of my paintings and everything. And so at the end of the project, I actually partnered with a local art gallery, and they hosted me for a 4-day event where I was able to display all of my 100-day butterflies, which was such a surreal moment for me because I would paint them and then I would put them away, and every now and then I would take a picture of 25 or something of them laid out. But it was totally mind blowing to me whenever I saw all 100 butterflies in front of me. It was just such a surreal moment. Oh my gosh, all 100 is right here in front of my eyes, and I get to see each one of them. And it was really fun because um, in the show itself, I was able to leave little comments for the viewers to read of different thoughts that I was feeling throughout the project. And so it was really fun, and a lot of people really enjoyed that, and I got great responses from my show as well.
That's amazing. I love everything about what you just said. And I feel like it also almost plays into a marketing perspective in your brain because they say people have to see someone's brand, what is it, 27 times for them to really remember it. And you putting out a butterfly every single day is them seeing almost the exact same thing every day. And then it just it creates more of a memory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And it's surprising now how many times I get direct messages of people sending me pictures of butterflies, or like, I saw this butterfly today. It made me thought of you and your project, and it just makes me so happy and everything. And so it just cracks me up that whenever I see that, and like seeing the impact of that one project and how it's been.
That's amazing. Okay, so and you do them with watercolor, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, with the tiny, tiny, tiny brushes, I imagine.
I used a really tiny brush. Like, one of my friends was like, which kind of brush did you use? Did it only have one hair on it? It had more than one hair, but it's a really tiny brush.
That'll be like the opposite of what I'm used to, working so big, and so that might be a fun change. Okay, or we'll just
Yeah.
do big butterflies. I don't know yet. I don't
Hmm.
know, but I might do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so just kind of going on with our questions. So what makes up your typical work day? How many hours do you typically spend painting?
Yeah. So it kind of depends. So the way I work my schedule is I do a block schedule. And so what I mean by block schedule is I block every hour of my day from the time that I wake up. And so like
Oh,
that would include, getting up in the morning and walking my dog and stuff like that. So, and then like an hour of going through emails, and then so like I allot 5 hours to client work. So because I do commission, so I would allot 3 hours to this client and then 2 hours to this client, depending on where I'm at on their project. So that is what I do as far as so the first like 4 days of my week is what I do as far as going through the day, answering emails, 5 hours of work as far as client work. And then after that, I give myself at least like an hour or so to do my own work, because sometimes it's hard to just constantly be creating artwork for other people. Not that I don't enjoy it, but you need to have your own kind of art. So I have that. And then, but then I also leave like Thursdays and Fridays as open days, just so that way I can, package all of like the products that have been sold, so I can get it shipped and everything. And then Friday is kind of like my flex day. So whatever project or commission I didn't get finished, I would, move it towards Friday so that it will allot me time. But I mean, not like I don't stick to it every single day, so I don't want anyone to be listening to this and be like, whoa, she's completely organized. That doesn't happen every single day for me, because like sometimes I would like I said, I would allot an hour to emails. But if I'm emailing a client and they email me back right away, like I have a tendency to just kind of sit there and keep like emailing them back. So I get into a wormhole of different things, and social media gets me there too. So it's hard to balance it all.
You
Yeah.
saying how you leave Fridays open for like the spillover stuff is
Hmm.
genius, because
Yeah.
I right now in my business I usually book things Monday through Friday, and I've done that for the past year, and I wonder why I'm so stressed out working on the weekends all the time. I just recently was like, okay, I'm only going to schedule things 4 days a week, and even then it's hard, because
Hmm.
if someone says, hey, I need this done, I'm like, I have this Friday open, okay.
Yeah.
So
It
that's
can be, yeah. I like the way that I've as far as like this year for myself, like as far as client work, I have like also blocked off like um the way that I schedule my client work is, I give myself at least like 2 to 3 weeks for each project. Most of the time it takes me a week, but I always kind of give myself cushion just in case something comes up. And so like I kind of work I'll start on one week and then start the other client one week, and they overlap with one another. And so that kind of helps me to like be able to jump from project to project and stay inspired, so that I'm not constantly just doing one. Like, but I mean, sometimes there are some projects that I just love and I just want it, like I'm in it. I just need to get it done. But it really helps to like have an open day, because like my husband, he works for uh, like the government, and so he gets every other Friday off, and so leaving flex days off also allows me to like spend time with him, because sometimes as artists, and especially when you work for yourself, it's hard to stay at a like a schedule. It's easy to work all the way into the night and then you realize like, oh, I didn't do anything for myself, like, because when you go to a job, you leave your house and you work from 8 to 5, and like once you're done, you're done. But when you work for yourself, and like my studio is in my house, and so because of that, like it work kind of sometimes overflow into my afternoons and evenings, and even sometimes into the weekend, like you said. So having those schedules really help me to like step back and take time for either for myself or to finish other project if I do decide like this is important, I need to finish it up.
Definitely. Yes. I love your almost over scheduling. I've been thinking about doing that because it really just like you see where your time goes too. You're like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah. And that really helps me as far as like thinking through how much I should charge like for a project. So like if I'm creating a logo for someone and I know it takes me about like, let's just say 5 or 6 hours. That way, like I know that that's 5 billable hours. So like if I'm paying myself $30 an hour, so then like, I get to pay myself $30 an hour for 5 hours on that project. So it kind of helps you to also, like when I write it out, I can kind of tell myself like, this is how much I'm expected to make during this time because of this project, and this is how much I build them. So like if I'm doing like a 8 by 10 painting, like I know that takes me at least 2 days to do, and it's like a combination of probably 8 hours. And so that's how I like it helps me to kind of do my price point and kind of a lot like when I can need to do them and when I need to have them done by. So it helps as far as like putting my mindset of like, this is my project, this is how much I can also be paid for too, whenever you block off schedules.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That you're pricing things in time increments is definitely how I do it as well. It's like
Yeah.
it's just the easiest, except for when you like under guess, which is my thing all the time.
Yes. Oh gosh, it's really really hard. And like I said, like for me, like details is what I love, and sometimes I allow myself to go over just because I love the details so much. But like, and I realize that's a part of my personality, and like I can't really like charge my client that part of my like personality. So you kind of have to know yourself as well.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Can you talk us through your painting process? Like, are there any methods or techniques that you've picked up through your years of experience?
So I mean, I do a lot of portraits. So,
Yeah.
it's like pretty simple as far as doing a portrait of just sketching it out and you know what you're doing. So I do pet portraits. I've done a few human portraits, and I also do bridal bouquets. And so it's pretty straightforward. Like for me, it's just kind of sketching it out and then working it through. But like as far as for like my own kind of artwork, I, a lot of times kind of like imagine what I want to create, and kind of just sketch it down. But sometimes I'm one of those people, I'm just gonna go for it. I know what I want to paint and I'm just gonna lay it out and see what happens. I have an artist friend who lives here in Fayetteville too. She is very very organized as far as like she has like different little thumbnail sketches and everything like that. And sometimes I'm like, oh man, I wish I was like that organized as an artist to like create thumbnails and everything. But we all work differently, and so sometimes I would sketch it out, and then other times I would just go for it and just paint. But like as far as the portrait stuff, it's kind of pretty straightforward. As far as like what I do is I send my client a cropping of how I'll create the portrait, and then once they approve it, I'll just start on the painting. So yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Let's see. What is the one thing you don't like to paint without?
When it comes to my watercolor, I can't do without my Winsor Newton like stable brush. Like I love that brush so much because it holds so much water. And then the other one is my Winsor Newton like very, very tiny brush, the one that has only one hair brush. So those are the two things that I like absolutely love as far as like the materials that I use. And then just listening to music sometimes is what I really need to have, or just, you know, my dog is always constantly sitting next to me when I'm painting, so I also have him too. But as far as the materials, those are the two brushes that I always use constantly.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm not a brush, like, I don't have like specific brushes that I like, but I think I just need to try more or something.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely say, Rachel just commented. She's like, "You are so organized. I love it."
Oh, thank you so much. If it helps, I can give you guys a screenshot of how I schedule my day if it's helpful. I can post that sometime, maybe under the comments later or something like that.
Yeah, I think we would love it. I think a few people at least could definitely benefit from that. Just to see like how is it hour by hour usually? Or like half hour?
Yes. So like, I mean, it's not like I have it written out like, 9 to 10 and then 11 to 12, but like it would be like if, for instance, like last month I did a logo, and so the company was called Joy Filled. So like, from like 9 all the way to 10 or 12, like both blocks says Joy Filled on it. And so it's on a spreadsheet for me. And so like I can see the hours, and I can see like which project I'm supposed to be working on. And like I have it on my Google Sheet, so like I always have access to it either on my phone or on my laptop. So then that way I can kind of keep myself like to remind myself what I'm supposed to be working on. And then if it doesn't work out, like, sometimes things come up, I'll just transfer it to Friday. That's what I do.
Gotcha. Yeah, Rachel commented again. She goes, "Yes, please share that." I follow like do you know Rachel Hollis?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. She does. Your writing your schedule down reminded me of like so she writes down like affirmations kind of a thing, or like her like goal for the day. Have you ever tried doing that?
I have before. Like for some reason it's echoing. Like I'm sorry. Like I'm hearing repeats of things. Anyways, so the way that like I'm not very, very great as far as like, writing all of my goals down, but like usually at the beginning of the year, I would have like dream projects that I want to do. So like this year, I want to create a calendar. So that was on my goal, to create a calendar to launch for 2020. And then another goal of mine, I teach an intro to ink floral drawing class, and I've created a guide for it. And so my goal for this year is to launch it as both a physical workbook, as well as a digital download. So then that way I get both, like people can have it both physically and it's passive income for me if they download it with the digital download with that. But so I would write different projects that I really want to do. And then I also like write dream like clients that I like to work with. Like when I say clients, I mean different companies that I want to work with. And so like one company that I really wanted to work with, it's a local shop here, and they curate their stuff in such an amazing way. It's really, really beautiful. And like both of the women owners, they're people that I look up to as far as like business women. So like my goal like that this year was like to be able to work with them in some way. And so and I got to, so it was really exciting. I'm creating like we released it about 2 months ago. I created an exclusive tea towel design for them, and then we're about to launch one in later on at the end of the summer. So it's really, really fun to like, write down different goals for yourself and to kind of dream, I think. But as far as like daily or weekly goals, sometimes it's just like I kind of focus on like my to-do list rather than like having goals for every single week or. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, it's so fun to dream. I love doing that too. Because I've had this like thing in my phone where I write down like yearly goals, like big ones, and I remember like looking back like this past January, I'm looking back at last January's and seeing some stuff that I accomplished, and I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
that was just a dream a year ago. Holy gosh.
Yeah, like I love doing that because, sometimes, in business, it could be very discouraging, because as I don't know about you, but some days like it's just feast or famine, like
Mm-hmm.
one month you do so well and then the next month you're like, what is happening? Like, why am I not making money? And so like it's always good to have those goals to kind of like remind yourself like, hey, like a year ago, this was just like a dream for me. And like, I couldn't even imagine working with this client. And like, I'm able to check certain things off of my list. So I think it's always kind of important for us. And like, especially because we're visual people, it's nice to like write it down and kind of remind yourself like, hey, this is not just like the day-to-day thing. Like there's more, a bigger goal. Like what I like to sometimes do is like kind of visualize like what do I want to be, where do I want to be in like next 3 years, and I work backwards from that. And
Yeah.
so like things such as like, well, I want more freedom as far as being able to create my own artwork but still make money. And so how can I do that? And one way is to create passive income. So like I'm trying to like figure out different ways to have a project where I do it once and it's there and it's done and I don't like have to deal with it anymore. So like that's why I'm looking into doing e-courses and like I said, the booklet and stuff like that. And so that's kind of like my dream goal, is to always kind of have that dream and then work my way back. Like, what do I need to do now in order to get there?
Yes, that's me. You're speaking my language too, because I'm all about that passive income stuff with prints or just like starting courses and stuff. Yeah, it's such an amazing time we live in. Like I can't get over it.
hmm
It's just like
Yeah.
there's so many things and we can reach so many people, and I'm like, I am so glad to be born
I
exactly when I
know.
was.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just amazing. Like, and sometimes like yeah, there's just so many opportunities as for us as artists. I think it's just like when you start looking at other artists, like sometimes you have that imposter like syndrome, and like you're trying to constantly comparing yourself, and I struggle with comparing myself to other artists too. But it's really important to kind of also like appreciate other artists where they're at, and like and look at them for like as encouragements and stuff like that, but also make your own goals in order to like, you know, to encourage yourself in that and not have to compare yourself constantly to someone else. Because like, my first year of doing it full time, like I struggled with that, like looking at other people who have like 10,000 followers, or, doing all these massive things, and like wishing like, why am I not there? Like my art is good. Why can't I be that? And you kind of get yourself in a bad hole when you start thinking about those things. So when you have your own goals, like it's good, like that's so important, because then you have your own dream, and you like need to know that like your dream is separated from that person that you're constantly comparing yourself to.
Yeah,
If that
for
makes
sure.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we definitely all, I even too, like, just suffer from like imposter syndrome all the time. I'm like, who am I to teach, aspiring artists? Like, I'm still figuring it out.
Yep,
And
I totally.
one thing, someone told me they're like, the people you're jealous of, are the ones you need to be learning from. And I was like, ah, that hit deep. Like, because I'll be scrolling on Instagram, and I'm like, I'm genuinely happy for when artists have like a monumental or something happen. And I'm like, oh, or like a brand deal, or like they get a big sale, or they're selling for this much. And I'm like, so happy for you, but I want that to be me. Like, what the heck? And it's like, I just need to like switch it in my mind. I'm like, okay, what are they doing that I could do? Like that's
hmm
similar or to be better or something. So like I just kind of like, all right, I'm jealous of them because of a reason. So I just try
hmm
to like switch it kind of like that. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, are there any art lessons you learned the hard way?
I think one of the biggest lesson is pricing my work. at like the worth that it is.
Yeah.
Like, and also especially when you're starting out, like you know you want to have clients and you want to make money because you're starting out and you need to make money. It's so easy to price yourself so low, you know, and I'm still struggling with that. Like, I have artist friends who have been in it for a while now, and every time, like, you know, a topic about like my stuff, my artwork comes up, they're like, you need to raise your price. Like, I have a friend who's always constantly telling me, you need to raise your price. And I'm like, I know. Like, but it took me a really long time to actually like believe like my art is worth this, because, and then like, but, and also telling yourself like, okay, what, like, makes me qualify for like this amount of money, you know, and sometimes it's really hard for us as artists because we create art out of our heart, you know, and what inspires us. And like, it's such a personal thing. And then when you add like the business side of it, you add money into it, it gets kind of mixed up, you know. It's really hard when you're trying to compare, like, add your passion with trying to make money from it. So because like I want people to have access to my art, but I also want to like get, you know, paid for what I deserve. And so what's been helpful for me in the last year as far as like pricing my art is to remind myself, like, I have an art degree. Okay, I paid money. I went through schooling for this. You know, it's not like I'm just like some, like, just, I'm going to try to paint today, you know? And so like that qualifies me, you know, for this part. And then like, how many years have I been practicing this? And, you know, all sorts of things. And maybe if even if you don't have an art degree, like, if you have been painting for years, like, that's a part of your experience, and you deserve that, you know, because just like I'm trying to think of different jobs in the corporate world where, you know, the more like years you've been in it, the like more pay you should get. So kind of like tell yourself, like, you are, like, being an artist, you are professional. Like, it is your job. Like, not, it's a fun job and it's a fun career, but it is a job. And so you need to like realize that like these are the qualifications that allow me to be paid for what I should be paid. And so it took me a long time to like really believe that, and not be afraid to lose client just because my price didn't fit with what they want, you know. And and if anything, I have enjoyed like working for people more now whenever I feel like I am being compensated for my time. Like, because I don't know about you, but there's been projects where I've done that, like, I put so much work into it, and like in my mind I'm like, oh man, I'm only getting paid this much for it. But I'm, you know, like, I would never want to create a piece of artwork like grudging about like how much I'm being paid for it either. So I think that's been a really big lesson for me as far as like, you know, like knowing your worth, as far as who you are as an artist and your skills, because I didn't do that. And like, I think like I struggled with like my confidence as an artist in that, like, because I feel like that all connects for me, like, you know, feeling like, am I even worth this? But whenever you actually like review like what qualifies you to be paid, then I think that gives you more confidence to like continue in your art. So like that's what I think one of my biggest regret, like at the very beginning, because like I was so afraid of losing work for at having a high price than really like valuing myself, because now like I'm having to work like almost not backwards, but like trying to convince people why my price has gone up, you know. I had like a client who, you know, in the past paid for this much, like now they're coming back and wanting something else similar, and they're like, whoa, why is your price that high, you know. I think that's one thing that that I kind of regret. And it's funny too, because I actually, like, my husband introduced me to he was just a family friend, but he's an accountant, and he said to me, if it's not selling, raise your price. And I was like, what? That makes no sense. Yeah, it's crazy. But in all actuality, like, actually really true as far as like raising your price. People start thinking about the quality of it. And so like, so anyways, it's been working for me as far as like seeing that change this year. So that's one thing that I regret. And then another thing that coincides with it is like in the first year of my business going full time, I was always constantly like trying to figure out what do people want to buy. Like I need to create things that people will buy. So like what is it? And so I was constantly trying to create things that I think people would be interested in. And it did not do well. So some of the things that like I launched, it was like failure. Like and like not every single one of them, but like some of the things that I felt like, oh, this is going to do so well because people love this. And so hopefully like it's going to sell for me too. And some of it flopped. And so that was a really like hard lesson, because what I learned this year is that I was constantly like trying to figure out what people want to buy. And so I was creating those things, but those things didn't necessarily bring me joy in it. And so I was like painting things that like I thought people wanted rather than painting for myself, And this year, one of the things I learned, like somebody said, is like people will buy your joy. And it sounds weird when you say it that way, but it's what makes your art unique is you. And so like if you're passionate about whatever topic you're painting, so if you're passionate about butterflies, and like people are going to see that, and like it's going to attract them to you, because like if you're passionate about a topic and you're painting it and it keeps you going, people, it's going to like be contagious and they're going to want that. And like it's better to like catch those people than try to like figure out what everybody is doing, And so when you're creating art that like, inspires you, then, I think people will see a reflection of that. And so like for me this year, I'm like taking a step back more of like, instead of thinking of like, oh, what do people want me to make and so that they'll buy it, I'm more thinking like, what is going to bring me joy to create this year? Like, what am I excited about? And then I create that. And so far it's been working, this year.
So cool. I was just thinking I need to go and do that again too, because like I've been doing commissions for people and I just haven't been painting for myself. And so I'm like, I just recently have been like, okay, what makes me what would be the best thing that I could paint today? So I definitely relate to that. That's awesome. Because yeah, you're right. I think a lot of people do are like, well, I'm known for painting wildlife or whatever, but I really want to paint this other thing. And then they're like, but people like my wildlife or whatever, and they don't go for it. And so I love that you said that. Let's see. What are actually, do you have a favorite past project? Or do you have a favorite painting? Or...
I have a few, like the one right behind me right there. That's an original that I keep up that I really love. And the reason why I love that one is because I love a lot of details, and like loose florals is something that is really hard for me, because like abstract is like completely outside of my comfort zone. I can't do it. And so that piece right there, I just like couldn't sleep one night and I just started painting, and I created that, and it was like a loose floral painting that I was really happy and proud of, and people love it. And so like I love that project. And of course, like I really love my butterfly project just because, it has such a good meaning to me and have gotten so many good reaction from it. And like I think I've sold close to like over 50. So yeah, I think I only have, I'm not sure, but I know I sold over 50. So like it's really awesome for me to think like, wow, like it's my butterflies have flown away from my studio, and it has a new life out there doing other things. And so like I got to ship one to Australia and to Canada and stuff like that, so across the US. So it's just fun to kind of imagine like, my art is, going to different places. So that's been such a really good and fun project to me. And I'm also like writing it out as long as possible. So like I just released my butterfly posters, and of course like the calendar that I said I'm going to be doing this year. It's going to have a combination of my butterflies on it, and so people seem to love it. And I'm just going to keep making products out of this project.
That's amazing. I'm gonna buy your calendar. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yay!
Like, I have a calendar every year, and I'm like, that's the perfect calendar. I want. Yeah.
Thank you.
So if I don't see it, just tag me in it, and I'll buy it.
Sounds good.
Let's see. What are your future art plans and goals? What are your upcoming projects?
Let me see. Like I said, I'm currently working on my calendar right now, so I'm just putting it together, like the tedious side of it, as far as like all those little boxes and everything. So that's what I'm working on. Like I said, I have the Creative Social Retreat with my friend. It's the business that we created. We did a retreat earlier this year actually in the summer in Colorado, and then now we have one kind of more local in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And so it's like a 2.5-day event that we're doing, so that again, like we're changing up all the workshops and teaching people new things, and I'm really excited about it. And just to be able to like share like creative skills with other people, and to create a community, because a lot of the artists that we like have met, they're like, it's just so lonely, like I don't have other artist friends. And so whenever they actually get to come together with like-minded people, they're like, oh my goodness, this is what I need. So it's really exciting for me. And I've got different types of craft shows that are coming up. So I do craft shows every year. I've got a big one in Memphis, Tennessee that's going to be coming up in September. And then I have another one in September, and then a few of them in December as well. So those are different projects I'm working on. And then just, yeah, I think I'm going to create also a advent calendar tea towel thing. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I've got so many different projects that's kind of like flowing in my mind that like, sometimes I need to like sit down and just be like, Tram, you need to focus on these things and create them.
Yes, I think everybody can relate to that. I know I can. As you were talking, I was like, since you're so organized, I was like, if you ever come out with like a butterfly gift planner or something, let me know.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see.
That's a good thought.
Yeah.
That's a good thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Not to add to your plate, but last question here. Is there any advice you would give artists who want to make art their full-time career but just don't know where to start? What's a good starting point?
A good starting point. Gosh. I would definitely say start it out as start it out as a side thing, and actually see if art as a business is really truly what you want to do. Because, I love creating art, but I'm not necessarily like the business side of it isn't necessarily my forte, because like I didn't go to art or a business school or anything like that. So I'm kind of like learning as I go. And so there's just so many behind the scene to doing the business part of it that can be overwhelming. So like I feel lucky to have like actually kind of started off on the side, because then I was kind of easing myself into it. And I think it's an opportunity to kind of like test yourself to see like, okay, am I like, can I actually do this as far as like my personality? Will I like be able to like be organized enough to do my taxes, and to like figure out my budgets and all of these things. It's fun and everything to create art, but like whenever you pull the business side of it into it, I think us as artist people, like that's like the math part for me especially is like where I crumble a little bit. And so like, test it out and see if that's something that you really want to do. And then, there's just always like a point where you have to just make that decision of, yes, I'm going to do this, or like, I'm going to do this as a side thing because I enjoy it, I love it, and just have that. Because there's a lot of investment whenever it comes to like starting, an art business. Like most of the time people say a business isn't profitable and like at least like 3 to 5 years into it. And so, sometimes as an artist, like that's really hard when you start thinking about that and how much you can actually invest in it, is what I would advise to people. But whenever you're ready, go and do all of the paperwork. Like I am registered as a DBA, which is called doing business as. So I'm doing business as Tram Colwin Art. And that's going to allow you to be able to open a bank account and apply for a business license. And then that's where you start. You can, do all those legal things and figure that out. But yeah, so that's kind of my advice, is to kind of, if you want to try it as a side job and really see if, doing art as a business is something that, would fit with your personality, because not everybody can like juggle both of them. I'm not saying that like I'm good in any way as far as like being able to do it. Like I have a lot of help, especially from my husband. He does all of my taxes. Thank God. Like bless him, because it's really hard. So he takes care of like the tax side for me. And so like that helps a lot of the stress, out for me, as far as doing my artwork and stuff. So yeah. Yes. I hope that helps.
It definitely does, and I think what you said is a lot of times that's very much overlooked, is the non-painting part, because a lot of people on the outside, especially non-artists, they like, oh, you just paint every day, and I'm like, no, like there's so much more to it, especially like email lists. I remember we had talked a little bit of. Do you want to elaborate on email lists? Because I definitely agree that they are.
Of course. So like a majority of my business comes from Instagram. And so just because Instagram is such a visual thing. But the thing is, like, I always stress the importance of starting an email list. And the reason why is Instagram, even Facebook, is not, you can't always rely on it. Like, I don't know, like, but like this year, I think Instagram has like glitched at least 3 times where it's not working, or like, and like the whole algorithm. Anyways, so like that's something that you can't rely on all the time. But what you can rely on as far as communicating to your business or like your audience is email lists. You can choose to talk to them as many times as you want to, and you can provide the information. Like if Instagram is shut down, how are you going to get the information to them if you don't have an email list? Like, so like if it decides to crash for a month, like how are you going to talk to them if you don't have an email list? And the thing about, like, for me at least, for those who do subscribe to my email, they're more ready for any product that I actually introduce. Like they know my art, they know about me more, a little bit, like, well, I wouldn't say more because I share a lot on Instagram, but I think they're more ready. They're like ready buyers versus like on Instagram, they might be following you because they think that your feed is beautiful, or like pretty or some whatever, so like they might not necessarily are looking at it as a thing like, oh, I'm going to consider buying this person's art. But whenever, someone signs up for your email list, I think they're more committed to following your business and where you're at and what things that you can offer to them. So like that's what I really stress, is the fact that you get to control how many times and what ways you talk to your audience when it comes to an email. But Instagram, Facebook is not always reliable, so you should have some kind of different way to like contact them. So yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I am so all about this too, because like an email list too, I kind of think of it as like those are like the more interested people, just like you said, but it's also just like another thing. So like if you post on Instagram and you email them, they're seeing you twice in that day, and if they see you on Instagram, do you email them like once a month, or what's your typical?
Yeah, so I mean, typically at least once a month, because for my subscribers, I have an exclusive giveaway that I do all the time, or like not giveaway, giveaway, but freebie. So every month I create a new freebie, which is like a desktop calendar and like a screen lock. So it's only my subscribers have access to it. And so that makes it the special thing for them. But whenever each month, whenever it's released, I email them. And then, but most of the time, whenever I'm launching a product, I will send them information about when it's coming out. And then I also update people on different events, workshops that I'm a part of. So like at least once a month, twice to 3 times a month is probably the max that I usually share with people. I mean, sometimes people, like I have people that I follow, they do it like every week, which for me, newsletters, like as much as I love them, like it's like, it takes me a long time to write a newsletter. So that's why I keep it at the 1 to 3 amount.
Yes, that is genius. Like you sending a digital download to everybody on your email list for once a month. That's genius. I
Thank
never
you.
thought about that. And now I'm going to copy you again.
I mean, I like, a lot of times, like I do, like Instagram, like I do share a lot on Instagram, but I think like as far as like for my subscribers, I like to have something that's a little more fun and exclusive for them. And, what I've want, like so far, I didn't share it very often, but so far I've been like sharing more pictures. Like once I'm about to release, like I'll take a little, like a photo of it, of what it is. And then I'll share it on my Instagram. Like, like I'm going to be releasing this freebie to my email subscribers. This is exclusively for them. And I'm always sure to like at least get 5 more new subscribers. And so it's a good way to like pull people in, and it's always fun whenever people like, put it on their like laptop or their screen and then show it to me, and it's nice to like feel like, oh, they're using my art. And if they do decide to like, if they have it on their computer screen or if they have it on their phone, your art is always going to be in their face in some way.
Ooh,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so do you just send them like a Google link to download a like high res image?
So yes, I do it through my Dropbox. So,
okay.
So like on my website, like I have an image of what the freebie is, and then they'll just click download and it sends them to my Dropbox link, so then they can download it. So yeah.
I love this. I'm gonna do this. This is so cool. Cool. Well, I am so glad we got to virtually meet after I've been stalking you on Instagram for a long time. So, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I'm sure you've inspired more than just me tonight. But yes, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to add real quick? Just like we can find you at, is it at Tram Colwin? Or what is your?
So it's my website is so it's Tram Colwin Art is my Instagram, and so and then I also give like business advice and tips, and like I also do behind the scenes stuff as far as my paintings and the non-fun part of business, so on there too. So so I have that, but I love sharing information. So like a lot of times people drop like messages and questions, and like I love sharing that with other people. So I like get inspired by other artists who are encouraging one another as far as like realizing it's not a competition. When you look at it as a competition, it just makes it harder. Like, but whenever you work together, you're essentially building up a community. So that's kind of what I'm about.
Definitely. I love it. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for talking with me. We will be in touch, I'm sure.
I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to talk to you. I hope you guys have a good night.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye.
All right, bye.
This episode is sponsored by the Artist Academy Advanced Membership, a program for artists who want to up-level their art game by taking it from a hobby or a side hustle to a full-time art business. I've been a professional artist for over 5 years, with paintings in several different countries and a client list that includes high-profile companies such as Bass Pro, O'Reilly's, Duck Commander, and many, many more. So I figured out what it takes to build an art business, and now my heart is set on teaching aspiring artists like you to do the same. Go to advancedmember.com, that's advancedmember.com to learn more. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Also, if you ever want to join us live and have your questions answered in real time by myself or featured guests, then just hop on over to facebook.com/groups/Artist Academy every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I'll see you next week.